with the intro question of what is a decision you are proud of having made in the last 6 months. Well, I think that I'm very proud of joining the TEC. Like having quit the old job that I had, and also I'm very proud of moving to an apartment with my girlfriend. I think it was a great decision, and yeah, I think that these are really good decisions that make me proud. Um, I want to pass to Chuy.
Thank you, Juan. Um, well, I definitely think that joining One Hive and getting also close and familiar to what the TEC does has like completely changed my life. Like uh, I used to do a lot. Well, I've talked about this to some of you guys, but I used to do a lot of like entertainment industry, just like film and like music and like tour management and pretty much everything that just like got shut down for a while in during the pandemic. So uh, I had a lot of like free time and I was also like looking for a job, but as a hobby I got like into DeFi and stuff like that, and somewhere I read about One Hive and Honey and all of this. So I started getting close around the past summer, and well, here I am, and it's just like it makes me feel very happy, very uh, proud and humble to be in a community like this. So I think uh, I would summarize it in just like giving the opportunity to new stuff, even though uh, I mean I'm personally like that, but just I get thrilled uh, getting to understand the objectives of these communities and the technologies that they use. So definitely that would be the best decision I've made probably in the last year, not just 6 months. Um, I'll pass it to Livia.
Oh, that's a really hard question. Um, yeah, definitely being part of this community is something I'm very proud of. And I think this takes daily decisions. So yeah, I'm really happy about how I've been learning to take better decisions being in the TC. And I'm proud of having moved to Brazil. Even though it's a bit challenging to be here now, I feel like it's an important time to reconnect with my roots somehow, and proud to have chosen to settle after, I don't know, maybe 8 years traveling. And I'll pass to Den. DDAN.
Yes. Thank you, Livy. Um, I gotta say the best decision that I made in the last, it's been the last year, is that I got serious about Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication. I was introduced to it by counselor, and I just fell down the rabbit hole, like really, and so also the work that I've done with that is something that I'm really proud of too. And I do feel quite proud to be a part of this incredible group here. And I will pass to Mateo.
Hey guys, for me, I have to say that I started to give more importance to the little decisions, and those little decisions turned out to be a big difference in my life. So, as a chain of many little good decisions, bigger things are starting to show up. So, I am grateful for all of those little decisions that I've made. And among those was to just ask for help to grieve, like in a really hard time back in August. I talked to him, hey man, I need something to do. And that little decision turned out into so many magical and beautiful things from them. So even Juanca being here is a product of that. So I'm really grateful for that. So I have to say that sliding into the DMs and talk to Griff back then is the best decision that I made last year. So I'll pass it to Santi.
Thank you, Mateo. I think the best decision was taken 4 years ago when I decided to leave the Forex and jump into crypto just as a trader. I forgot about day trading. I just decided to invest and hold. Later on, I discovered that I was a hodler. And after being a hodler, there was nothing else to do. It was boring, so I decided to jump into the technology and start learning. And that changed completely everything. So basically, I was just meeting the three great stewards that were then together with Angela on that meeting. I think I was the only foreigner from the space. and yeah, that was a great day. Everything started there. So that's probably one of the best decisions I took, just joining that meeting after digging a little bit about token engineering for a couple of days. And I'll pass it to Zeptimus.
Thank you, Santi. Actually, someone told me like I was playing video games a lot, and someone told me like the best video game is life, and I decided to be my best self, and yeah, that's the best decision I take, and I'm enjoying the community a lot, and yeah, this has been awesome. Thank you guys. I'll pass it to Nate.
Nate, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess the best decisions I've made in the past have been two of them. This past year, helping my friends get their dream off the ground with their restaurant, which will be launching in a couple of days, which is awesome, here in Oakland, and I'm really excited about that. And then just making the decision to commit myself to learning more about the crypto industry and in particular DAOs and getting involved with this community. I've learned so much, and I want to eventually apply that. And and it's been a lot of fun and keeping learning. So with that, I will pass it to Jake.
From someone with a history of bad decisions, the good ones don't always it's sometimes hard to actually find those. The best decisions. I don't know. Finding Danny and applying for project management when I was like, I don't even know if I can. What is this? I didn't even know what project management was. But we had this incredible call, and then she passed me on to Griff, and all of that was just awesome. And it just kind of happened. And it was like the whole universe thing. Because I think Zep had the best answer. That's just me. Like, the greatest game is yourself, and you need to just strive to be your best self. And it's not always easy. It isn't. It just isn't. And yeah, the little things every day matter a lot. My other best decisions were my kids. You don't really always plan that, but they are your greatest accomplishment and always will be. Yeah, so yeah, that'd be it for right now. I'm gonna pass it to Greg.
We're having Jake a little emotional here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, man, it's tough. Honestly, listening to Mateo and thinking about like and responding positively to his DM is probably one of the best decisions I ever made. Definitely was the path to give its launch yesterday. And I think that in general, just making a decision to scale the common stacks mission horizontally and really make this effort to delegate as much as I can agency and responsibility to everyone. I don't know if it was like one decision per se, but this like making the time to onboard and delegate authority to as many awesome people as I can find just constantly is probably the best strategy I've implemented. I don't know if it's one decision, but it's a series of awesome decisions that have had a lot of impact on what I want to see, how I want to see the world change. So with that, I'll pass it to Jessica. Oh, we can't hear you either, Jess. Yeah, Jess, we still can't hear you if you're trying to talk, or I can't. Can anyone else?
Nope.
Is Jess the last person to go as well?
Yes, I think so. Well, yes, if you fix your mic, you can answer the question at any moment. And if not, we can continue. And I really like the answers of this question, because I always think like when you make a good decision, no matter if there are difficulties, you stay with your good decision. But when you make a good decision, you have to be humble enough to recognize that you made a bad decision, and yeah, uh, change it. But when you make a good decision, you have to keep forward on it. And I think that we all have made some good decisions that we can keep using as a way to motivate ourselves and to see for where have we come from and where do we want to go. And that, as you said, like it's the small decisions and the big decisions that take us to where we are now. And we are, even though that the moment in this world is very challenging, we are all also in a very privileged and graceful position. So yes, I made this GIF with the idea of Dan and also Gnomensky, that is a participant of the metagame that sent me this GIF yesterday, and he told me, hey, I think like gravity is like Saturn, because like the gravity of Saturn is so perfect that he keeps the rings like rotating in perfect sync. So I liked it, and the phrase is from Dan, so it's a good gift that I want to share. And also this thing that Livia told me yesterday, that Graviton should make people feel comfortable to speak. and also gravitons should be able to observe what are the patterns that we can identify to foster truth and comprehensive communication. So yes, like all of us are in the role of being monitors in our mutual monitoring system, and if we see or observe anything that we can improve or anything that can help to foster more well-being in our community, we can always come to that. And well, after this, I want to share the offboarding process idea that I have been working on. That is an issue that I didn't notice, but that is like a priority in token log. So for me, I should like see more token log and use more token log, because this offboarding process for working group issue had a long time, and I just like I am trying to address it now. So I am going to share the offboarding process, and we can review it as gravitons. And if we think it's good, we can post it in the forum so that it can become like a practice in our community. So yeah, the link is there. And well, the idea of this offboarding process is to ease the rotation with the workflow of the organization, and is that sometimes we all need to take some time off to take off other priorities, and we comprehend the complexity of everyone's life at this moment, and we want people to feel there are safe ways to make rotations and transitions within the workflow of the organization. I also added an offboarding option into the type form. So if anyone just wants to like offboard for any task of any task or any working group, they can just like inform me to the type form, and it's a good way to start this process. And the idea is for this process to go as smoothly as it can be possible. And I think it can work both for when it's a temporary offboarding, like when you go to vacation or something, but also it can be for more long-term offboarding processes, like maybe if one of us goes to work to another project. So yes, we want to foster safe ways to make rotations, and these are the steps that I think we can propose for this process. The first one, you can like jump into this document and add notes or comments if you think that something can be added. And the first step, I think, it's to make a notification in writing. And regardless of how it was first communicated, it's important to inform via Gravity Typeform or any community steward or Graviton the intention to take some time off. It's preferable to have this with time in advance so that we can continue with the next steps of the process. Confirm transition date with steward. Once the offboarding process is communicated in the next steward call, the issue will be added to the agenda to discuss which will be the members that will take care of the tasks that are rotated and other relevant decisions for the coming changes. Transition work and shift priorities. The steward should communicate the offboarding contributors' current projects, assess what's high priority, and try to assign one or more members to them. If no member is delegated, the rotating process are shuffled into the work queue of others in similar roles. The main thing to watch out for is to not dump a ton of extra work on the rest of the team. If something is critical, the team can stretch for a short period, but we want to get back to normal workloads as soon as possible. For community stewards, search for another member in the organization to role in the short term, but in parallel, the stewards can look for possible long-term replacements. The interim delegate can have an official promotion after a period of time if all parts agree. and if not, other possible options from the long-term replacements can be involved. And involve the offboarding member to be available for a transition session with the delegate to wrap up any critical projects or help with complex issues if needed. Announce departure. As we foster transparency and rotation in good terms, it's suggested to announce the offboarding process in this order. First, with the stewards or gravity, then to the working group, and then, if needed, to the whole community. And before breaking the news to anyone, check if the offboarding contributor and ask them if there's a way that they want to frame the news. Sometimes people are happy to share that they're joining another company or starting a new project, but in other cases, they prefer to keep all the details to themselves. We recommend following each one's respective wishes. If the offboarding member prefers to keep things private and anyone asks why it happens, any of the stewards can give a brief overview and express that it's being managed privately. And the fifth step is follow-up. And gravitors or community stewards can check and diagnose the reasons why the employee offboarded. And care employee, no, this is because I pasted some words. The member offboarded, and care for how it felt during the offboarding process and how they are doing in their new stages. Communicate that the doors are open for any contribution and ask for insights to how we can improve as an organization and in our different process. So what do you think about this?
Awesome.
Yeah, because I think it's normal that we sometimes, and it's very good that we can delegate to other people our tasks before leaving them. And I think that we have done a good offboarding process until now, but it's good to have it documented and posted, in the forum, because I feel like I right now Craig asked for some help in this week, and Nate stood up, and it's really great. And also when Metaverde said that she had other things that she wanted to give priority to, that when I helped with the onboarding to the new Discord. So yes, I think that we have been doing this process, but it's been hidden, and it's good for us to be able to publish it and to have it for all the community to know it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward and clear.
Okay. Well, then I want to jump to the other 2 points of the agenda. Are some of the new that I created in the GitHub panel. I still don't have a deadline for them, but because I haven't put it in any sprint. But it's very good for us to be able to be thinking on this, because this is something that we will be working on. And one of them is to have a survey to identify what are the needs related to conflict management in DAOs, and why people might not feel comfortable reaching out to Gravity, and how can we make it easier to participate. So yeah, I talked yesterday with Livy that maybe it's really good for the survey to be short, but we can have really good questions to identify if more conflicts come from coordination or more conflicts come from communication issues. So and in that way we can also see what are the needs that we can try to meet. So if you have any question that you would like to ask and or to incorporate to this survey, you can add it to the notes of this working group, or you can add it to directly to the issue. I am tagging here Septimus and Dan, but I think that anyone who volunteers can also help in this. And for me, it's also super interesting to make a survey, because I see that Working Group Omega is also making a survey, and I think it's a great way to gather information. And also because like I joined SoftGov because I answered this type form that Libby did in the start of soft governance. So I think it's really good to have a survey like this, because we might also attract new members into Gravity, and we can also gather a lot of information, because then I liked the way that Libby processed all the information that we gathered from this survey to like identify so much of the working of the points and of the key issues that soft governance had to address. So yeah, it's like a really good way to have like a guidance of how to give the next steps of Gravity. So I think it's very good if we can like somehow make a really good survey. So someone wants to collaborate in this.
I want to add something. I think it would be super cool if we do a work session where we address like the main goals with the survey, and yeah, even if we can also brainstorm and start with that. I think that would be a good start.
I was thinking. I've got some echo here. I was thinking about maybe reaching out to like a small sampling of DAOs to just kind of maybe get a feel for the type of conflicts that they're encountering, to sort of inform the questions a little better. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I think those insights are really good.
Yeah, one thing that I had on my mind was the amount of focus that we have with gravitons and gravity, focusing on how to react to conflict, and how much time we actually spend on creating systems that kind of are designed to prevent conflict from happening in the first place. And so the DAOs that I've participated in and that I've seen, a lot of the conflict comes from not understanding the workloads of others within the group. And, a lot of people have a lot of things on their plate, and that's not always communicated. And so things like, having your own profile and saying, this is what I'm working on right now. And if you're about to assign somebody or to ask somebody to do some work, really just looking at their plate and going, oh, well, they have a lot going on right now. Maybe they're not the best person to be suited for that thing. And so just having this type of prevention of conflict approach to it as well.
Yeah, I really like what you're saying there, Nate. I've been thinking about that too, and also wondering, because it seems like the TEC is really designed with a lot of the conflicts that first come to mind are sort of designed to avoid some of those. And I wonder if we even have an idea of what the most common conflicts that we expect. Because there's a lot of talk about sanctions and all these different things. And I'm just like even trying to imagine, I don't even know what all this stuff is going to be applied to. And maybe nobody does. That's the point.
Do you think it's a good idea, Juan, if we do a round? What are the main goals with the survey, and we get the feedback from everyone?
You're muted,
You're
Juan.
Yes, it's a great idea. Let's make a round. Or like if you think that if you have a question that you think that it would be key to identify the information that we want to gather, and it's like what are the main sources of conflict, and well, maybe I'm saying what you and instead of me saying it, I would hear it from you, but I would then give my first answer, and it's like my main goal for the survey is to identify the most common sources of conflict within DAOs. And I will pass to Mateo.
Sorry, Juanca, I was a little distracted.
Bueno. It's what do you think that would be a good thing to attack with a survey, with a gravity survey, looking for gathering information about conflict management and what are the conflicts in DAOs?
I think maybe a good thing to ask is if. Sorry, I'm having feedback.
Soy yo, perdóname.
Okay. Yeah, I was mentioning that maybe a good way to know and see what's going on is to have an insight if anyone has had in the past some kind of conflict that they just decided to ignore or didn't have a way to resolve just because there was no such a tool or kind of conciliation way to handle, so they just decided to ignore. So basically ask them if in the past they have had some kind of conflict that they just didn't pursue, or yeah. I'll pass it to, I don't know who's gonna go next.
Santi, what do you think?
There's something that keeps coming to my mind concerning the potential conflicts and how to solve them. And one of the things that I believe is key is to find a way for people to report conflict initially, if they want to, on an anonymously way. Sometimes you get involved in a conflict and you don't want to make public who you are. You just want to expose it. You want to see the reaction of the graviton or the person you're talking with. You may not even feel comfortable if you don't really are close to that person, if he or she is going to be able to manage the conflict correctly. So I think we should give two options: the option to report the conflict without showing your identity, and the option to show your identity if you want. And it's the task of Graviton Group to be able to feel that person comfortable enough to move forward and to try to solve the conflict. Because we tend to think that we mainly are going to be dealing with work conflict, but let's imagine we have to face a sexual harassment conflict. And that's going to be a big issue. And maybe the person who's reporting the conflict doesn't want to, identify him or herself initially because he doesn't feel comfortable. So I think that's really important. Establish a way to receive feedback from the community, either showing their identity or without showing their identity, so they feel free to express absolutely everything as they feel it. And after that's the first sit. We can start working on ways to try to solve, of course, the conflict.
Yes, I had the same question. Like, would you feel comfortable reaching to appear in your community to help resolving a conflict? Like, and it's also like to test how will people feel in a mutual monitoring system where like our peers are the ones that can help us yeah address conflicts um, um and yeah, like get support in any situation.
I just think it's a very personal question. And I may think one way in one specific conflict and think on a different way on another conflict. And my decision is completely personal. I cannot extrapolate to someone else. Everyone, behaves differently. It just comes to my mind something that's not really related to conflict, but was a great solution. Long ago, I was very involved in the virtual world Second Life. And the community of physicians in Spain offered free support to people who wanted to reach out dealing with sexual problems they had on an anonymous way. And it was basically teenagers who didn't feel comfortable going to their parents or to their peers or their family members. And since they or even going to the doctor, because it was facing face to face the conflict with someone that they didn't feel comfortable with. Through Second Life, in an anonymous way, they were being able to offer support to all these boys and girls, which was awesome. And sometimes they were able to reach or stop a problem that would have been a bigger problem otherwise. So I just believe this doesn't have to do anything with conflict, but it was a great solution or a great way to offer a channel of communication without revealing your identity that at the end worked out very well. So I think we should offer that option. I don't know how we could implement it. We have to think about it, but that should be a way, an open way to communicate your conflict to the community.
Yeah, I agree with everything Santi just said, and it's really difficult because, there are different types of conflict and things of like sexual harassment nature that definitely needs to be handled in a completely different way than just, the frustrations of a community member about how things operate or, how things work. So kind of identifying types of conflicts and how each type of conflict is handled is very important in my opinion. But also normalizing, normalizing, illustrating your frustrations or acknowledging your conflict in almost a public way would be really amazing because if I always imagine like having like a Discord conflict room where it's just like maybe you have kind of a bot that just you can send a message to and it anonymizes it within the channel and says, okay, I'm frustrated with this process. And then you can have your gravitons, actually practice and get some reps in on how to handle those situations. But just normalizing the process to the point where anybody at any point in time can go in there and say, hey, I have this frustration. Because if the real problems start to happen when they don't have an avenue to express that and have an immediate response to that type of conflict, because then it just kind of festers within the individual and turns into something worse. So I just keep that in mind. But in terms of the survey for questions, I would say that a good question to ask would be, what type of conflicts are you reluctant about presenting to your work or to people in this community, etc.
I've personally seen like speaking about different kinds of conflict. I've personally seen like different types that we might as well ask volunteers for this survey to describe like these different conflicts, and I would I would highlight a specific category, which is cultural. But regarding language, I don't know, issues like for example, like some of us don't have English as their first language, and I've seen some conflicts generated because in certain contexts there's a lack of inclusive vocabulary or language. But I mean, it is difficult. It is more difficult to adapt to something like that if English is not your first language, and there's like that cultural gap that generates a kind of conflict that is not really like somebody's fault. It's just like a different context. So uh, also, I mean, Santi was mentioning conflicts of like sexual harassment nature and stuff like this, where uh, there are many like different variables that need another kind of handling. But um, specifically speaking about cultural differences, like regarding language, or maybe like work or productivity culture, might generate some kinds of conflict. Like an idea that I have, and I just wanted to throw it out there, was that uh, regarding this, that like the way people are like approached with like submitting these conflicts. Uh, Maybe if there was a way in which the person who has this problem can be incentivized to like attend gravity meetings, or just be sensitivized about these whole matters. Maybe if people knew that the community, by resolving these issues, are going to get incentivized, they might not be as afraid to submit these issues, because like when people point fingers, usually it's in a bad context, that people are going to like pay some kind of like consequence or stuff like that. And for certain conflicts, I think that it might be a better idea to be open about how we incentivize these people who resolve these issues. This way, uh, like troubles are something like solving troubles is something beneficial, not something that obstaculizes your process in developing anything in a community. Well, yeah, I just wanted to add that idea.
I'm also thinking conflicts are so personal, and maybe there are like very good insights about what is missing in the way people treat each other in a community by understanding how someone wish to be treated in a case of conflict. So maybe one question could be like, can you think of a conflict that happened with you, and how would you like to have been treated then? Like, how would you like to be supported or approached? And the person doesn't need to share the conflict itself, but just sharing like how they wanted to be recognized. I think a big base for conflicts are like lack of communication, gentle and clear communication, lack of recognition, and not feeling a sense of belonging. So maybe, yeah, I'll try to think about things, questions that could hit on this point.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome, Livy. Like just having kind of questions that present to you different conflict scenarios and say, hey, how would you like to this situation be handled if this were you?
Yeah, I also think that that's brilliant, is finding like what ways, asking people what conflicts they've been in, and whether they like the way that they were handled and how they like it handled better. Also on sort of a similar theme as a couple of other points, this isn't really a question, but I was thinking about the conflict between extroverts and introverts. Not to say that like there's a conflict per se, but the conflict of like we have a praise system. So people who are more visible, you know, might be getting more praise, and then the people who are introverted and maybe are just not as outspoken, they also might not be as inclined to say anything if they're frustrated about and maybe there's some sort of proactive way where the leaders can be more attentive to that. I don't know. That's just sort of something that was, and I had like all the questions that I had other people already asked. So.
Okay, I think this is a really good starting point for the survey. Maybe as Seb said, we can program a hack session to in a next Graviton session, like present some advances. I think it's really great, and yeah, I like this thing of how would you like to be approached, and I also like the difference and the sensibility of that. Sometimes we want to remain anonymous on to feel secure on the information that we are providing, and yeah, like what are the boundaries and type of conflicts, and how much time do you spend talking about conflicts, or if you would feel comfortable, yeah, reaching out to other community member in your community to request support. We can have a hack session for this, but for in these 5 minutes, I want to present also this second issue that I created, that it's because like I think that we have framed a process like the in Gravity, but it would be really great to present it in an easy step-by-step guide to illustrate so that anyone can follow the same pattern. And yeah, I wanted to involve Durgadas and Santi in this. And the thing is that these are some of the images that we took from alternative dispute resolution manuals, but they are really cold information, and it would be really amazing if we can make like a really easy step-by-step guide to explain everyone what is Gravity, how do we proceed, and yeah, it's like our first priority and our first step would be like identification of cases. And yeah, this information has to be also rephrased because it's not the same narrative that we are using, but it's like it would be really great to start working on how to illustrate and how to present this as something like anyone can just see it and in a short moment like get the whole picture. And also like what are the steps that we use in Gravity, like hey, first the person reaches out, then the Graviton approaches, and yeah, I think that we have more or less like defined a methodology, but it would be really good to have it like in our own narrative. And this is like the steps of a mediation process, and also like this first draft that I made for the internal management layer and the external management layer. I think that these all are things that can be really polished. And if anyone wants to help and in this, well, you're invited. As I said, I invited Durgadas, and he already made like a first proposal, but it's good for us to keep working in this sense, because it would be like, yeah, amazing if we can show like something that is really comprehensive and that people understand what gravity is in just like with a simple look. So in the next week we will present some advances in these two issues, and yeah, I thank you all for coming, and I hope that we can keep improving in this initiative